cigarette, singing Kathy's Clown. That's the man she's married to now. That's the girl that he takes around town. She appears composed, so she is, I suppose. Who can really tell? She shows no emotion at all. Stares into space like a dead China doll. I'm never gonna know you now, but I'm gonna love you anyhow. She's done and they're calling someone. Such a familiar name. I'm so glad that my memories remote, 'cause I'm doing just fine hour to hour, note to note. So here is the revenge to the tune. You're no good. You're no good. You're no good. You're no good. Can't you tell that it's well understood? I'm never gonna know you now, but I'm gonna love you anyhow. Here today, expected to stay on and on and on. I'm tired. Looking out on the substitute scene, still going strong. XO, Mom. It's okay, it's alright, nothing's wrong. To Mr. Man with impossible plans to just leave me alone in the place where I make no mistakes, in the place where I have what it takes. I'm never gonna know you now, but I'm gonna love you and I'm never gonna know you now, but I'm gonna love you and never gonna know you now, but I'm gonna love you anyhow. Okay, so waltz number 2, obviously, that's why you're here. You want to learn it. I'm here to teach you. Yeah, this was requested. I'm sure that there are plenty of videos by people who are more capable of teaching than I am, but you know, figured I'd fill the request. So start off, you're in sorry, D standard tuning. So you're gonna tune down 2 half steps, so it's, you know, tune down a whole step. Anyway, so you start on this little A minor shape. You know it, you love it. It's a nice standard chord. So you're gonna do, that's 2 hits on the G string on the 2nd fret. So right there, and then you do a little hammer on the 1st fret of the B string. And then to a C, then an F, then back to C, then back to an F, and then that's a little hammer on with your middle finger, and then you pluck it open. So, or I guess he might be doing like a little hammer on, hammer off thing, but I find that's the way I play it is. And then you go back to C, and then you head up here, kind of like having your middle finger and ring finger playing what would normally be played like this with the G string. So with your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string and your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the E string. So and then so you do that twice, and then that's a little hammer on with your middle finger there. And then you do this little walk down, or walk up, I guess. So you go from the 3rd fret with your ring finger on the E string, and then you go to the 2nd, 3rd fret on the A string with your middle finger, ring finger. So and then for like 2 bars you strum a little bit more, and then that's just hammer on with your ring finger onto the 3rd fret of the E string, and then you slide up to the 4th fret of the E string, and then back into E. Oh yeah, and then you do a little hammer on with your middle finger on the G string, or D string, sorry. Back into that same chord progression. So first the and then you go to this F right here, and this time you're gonna do a full F, like a full bar chord. I mean, you don't have to if you can't do bar chords, you know. Actually, if you can't do bar chords, work on them, because this song does require them. So you go this F right here, and then you're gonna do this little number. I don't really know what chord this is, I'm just realizing, but so you move from this F to that little chord right there with your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the E string, ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G string, and your pointer finger on the 1st fret of the B string, and then to a G. That's the So from G, you're gonna go to D minor. I'm hoping that you know all these chords. So you go to a D minor there, and then back to an A minor, and then you're gonna do this little number with your what is this, E7, I think. So with your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the A string, pointer finger on the 1st fret of the D string, and your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the G string here. So, and then you're gonna take, you're gonna take your ring finger off, and then move your pointer finger down to the 2nd fret of the G string, and then that's the verse right there. So and then at the end of that you move back into that little thing that you were doing before. So I'm never gonna know you now. And then you move into this. You do a little walk down with your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string down to the 2nd fret, and then into an A minor, and it's just kind of that instrumental passage. And then, so move on to the bridge. So this part, instead of moving back into that little instrumental part, instead of doing that walk down, you're gonna go. It's nice. It kind of throws you off. It does the opposite of what it does before. Instead of going down, it goes up. So you go blop, blop, So that's just moving this shape, these two fingers, your middle finger and ring finger, up. Wait. Yeah, you just move them up a half step, so 1 fret. And then you move into a D minor. Here today, expected to stay. And then, so that's a D minor to a F, and then you just do a C. So you go on and on. So that's you move from your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string to your middle finger on the 2nd fret. On and on. So that's an A minor right there. And then I'm tired. So you go from A minor to a D minor and then an F. And then you go back into the verse. And then, let's see. At the end, I mean, it always kind of messes me up. But at the end, instead of going into that instrumental passage or anything, you just go straight from G and then back into A minor. And then do that 3 times, and that's the outro. And then you finish on C. So instead of like so instead of doing that walk down, you go. See, you go back into it. You just go straight to the A. No other C or anything like that after playing that G chord. And then, oh. I hope that's sufficient. It seems a lot quicker than it should have been, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe that works out fine for you. Yeah. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. I can help you out with some tabs or something like that. Yeah, cool. Thanks.